So this trading day was quite interesting. I came in here at market open and we got our first three 5-minute candles, which is what I use for orb, open range breakout. And so I watched it go back down come out of it, go back down. I was looking for a rejection on the orb here. Didn't get it. It went back down deep into it. Still went around here. Came back up again. I didn't really take this as a rejection at this point because it had already sunken so deep into here, and I like to look for a break of some kind of structure, whether it's the orb or a good high point or low point. And so this didn't really trigger anything for me because it hadn't really broken anything, newly broken anything before we got to here. And then we came up here, once again down. So I was looking at this break of structure and thinking maybe if I saw a really good rejection here off of this, that that it would trigger me to enter in. So I waited and waited, and then finally here we broke this high, came back down, and then there was a rejection here, and once we got to here and started getting past all of this, then I was ready to enter a bullish broken wing butterfly. I just thought that was it was showing some strong candles, three soldiers, if you will, and so that was good enough for me. So I entered into a bullish broken wing butterfly, but at this point, it had we were so far along in the day. I mean, it was almost noon, and so it was a real small runoff profit. So this area here, which I call the runoff profit, it was only about $50 for that whole area, and the risk over here was at like 400. And so this is all like relative, like if you're trading 5 lots or 10 lots or whatever, but I use the one lot to just kind of prove out the trading plan. But so it was like 400 some risk over here and 50 over here, which seems like kind of a bad trade-off. But I felt like this was strong enough, and I've had some really good wins in the past couple of days, so it just I determined that I would immediately probably exit out if we got into a loss that was equal to that. That's kind of my guideline. So if our runoff profit was going to be $50, then I would keep an eye, and as soon as we got into $50 loss at the present curve, usually I have a little bit of leeway there, then I would take it off and just take the loss and be aggressive with you know, taking the trade-off if it's not going my way. So we had one case where it came back down a little bit, started to test us a little, which usually happens at least once, and you just have to stay cool with it. And then from that point on, we just went back up and we stayed up here. And so for most of the afternoon, I just thought that we were going to be taking that $50 runoff profit. But at the end, in the last half hour, we started to fade, which would have been great if it would have just continued to just gradually fade. But what happened here is, so I had the sweet spot marked with this alert. So this was going to be like right here. So if we're in the last 20 minutes of the day, and we pass over this spot, I will just take it off because I don't want to push our luck, and that's like the best spot to be. So we started heading that way, and I just thought, okay, hopefully we'll get that far. It was pretty slow going, so I wasn't sure. But then I started watching the 1 minute just so that I could kind of really see what was happening. I sometimes switched to the 1 minute only in like the last 10-15 minutes of the day. And then we got this sudden big candle, and this dropped like a rock immediately. I mean, in 1 second, it went from here right to the sweet spot. And so I decided to just immediately get out with a market order. I wasn't even going to put a limit order because if it could drop that, whatever was happening there, I don't know what that sell-off was, but if it could drop that fast in 1 second, then it had the momentum that it could have started going again and actually getting into um, my loss area, and that's like the last thing that I want to happen, especially at the very end of the day when the gamma risk is so high in those last minutes. It could go from you're at a profit to just a almost full loss in no time. So I put in a market order right when that drop happened, which means I probably didn't get a great fill, and I ended up with, I think it was 150, 140 profit, which is definitely a lot better than the $50 runoff profit that I thought I was going to end up with for most of the day. So not too bad, but it's actually been quite a while since I really got one of the big, finishes where you're actually in that big profit area at the end of the day, where it just kind of meanders into that area and you close it out for around 300 or 400 or even more. So that's okay because the performance is still good. I mean, if I look at the trading plan that I've been doing with Broken Wing Butterfly, we're at an all-time high watermark for the strategy, 75% win rate, and just trucking along. But we're kind of due for a bigger winner, a bigger winning day. I think that we'll gather statistics to see how often that can be expected, and that'll be something that I'll figure into the plan before I start really scaling it up. But right now it's just a process of building trust in the trading strategy and this trading plan, and yeah, that it's too bad that this didn't gradually get there, and it was coming from the top, like when I'm in a bullish trade and it's coming from the top and getting slightly better and better. That's great. If we're down at the bottom and I was worried about it falling into loss, that's not so great. So anyhow, that's how the trading went today.